thought it lasts forever. We've been all around for too long. Do you remember how your love made me better? Just tell me how. I will be the one who drives you to the precipice. I could be the one who lead us deep into the mist. And all I hear is
Hello, everybody, and welcome to QSL's third week. We have a Puddles division matchup. Mechanis here alongside Judas, who seems to be Kappa Corporation's personal caster. Judas, what do you think we have in store in this Puddles division game?
Well, as the Kappa Corporation CEO, I think it is pretty much guaranteed that it will be a Kappa Corporation win. And I can back up that claim with the fact that Kappa Corporation are coming into this game 2-0 in week number 3 against Fallen Angels coming in 0-4-2. So pretty much done and dusted, guys. You might as well go home, but you might as well watch this instead because I'm sure there's still going to be plenty of fun to be seen. And hey, you know, while we're talking about the fun, why don't we just go and start seeing the fun as we head on over to the picks and bans for this first game. So I've called it already, Mechanis. This is a Kappa Corporation W, courtesy of the CEO. What do you think we might see instead?
So, considering this is a Puddles division matchup, one of the things that I generally expect to see is a lot of aggression, a lot of W keys. Some of it where they know where it's going, other parts of it not so much. But it's one of the things that makes Puddles so interesting to watch is the fact that these two teams, they're gonna want to go at each other. They want to get going. They want to show that they're just better.
And that's kind of what this new patch is about, right? One of the key things that a lot of players have been talking about, but very specifically actually the top end of players have been talking about, is that the game is now harder. So when the game is, you know, technically more difficult and more punishing for mistakes, lower division games where, let's face it, there tend to be more mistakes, could be a hell of a lot more volatile. So it's definitely something that has to be watched out for, right? Because even in, I'm sure lots of players have been finding certain games which may feel a bit more comfortable, all of a sudden you get caught by the wrong mid laner ult and you can find yourself dead. You know, even from a huge lead. We actually saw last weekend, I think, there was a Rama on a team that was dominating by like 30 plus kills, and then in 2 team fights just got one shot by a Toth. Out of the fight, couldn't impact the fight, and all of a sudden the fight doesn't go so well for the team that's 10k gold up. So plenty of things to be considered, but as we're seeing through these picks and bans here, a little bit different, I'd say. Not quite the standard set of bans here.
Without a doubt. So just to go ahead and have it said and have it out there, the 5 bans, the 6 bans now on your screen are going to be E-Shell, Lancelot, and Shang-Ah from Kappa Corporation. And Fallen Angels are going to ban out the Medusa, the Mulan, and the Kuka Lane. 6 very, very powerful picks as of late. Kuka Lane, lane bully as he's always been. But with lane bullying being so strong, of course, comes right back storming into the meta that he was already in. Wukong picked up by Kappa Corporation. Wukong, of course, being incredibly safe. Going to be able to either weather any kind of matchup he's not good into or win matchups that he is favored in. So very, very solid first pick, followed by the safest hunter in the game.
And safety seems to be the name of the game right here, right? Wukong is of course Safeguard, you know, Sun Wukong, the god of getting out of danger. So definitely a reliable pick in your solo lane, but what it also does is it or it doesn't, I should say, is that it doesn't give away anything else for the rest of your draft, right? You've got a Wukong probably in solo. Anything else, you can kind of go whatever. You can pick an early game draft, you can pick a late game draft. Wukong will work through it. Similarly so, actually, for Charybdis in the Hunter role. Now, we don't see a ton of Charybdis, despite being so safe. A lot of times, safety from the Hunter role is almost not really enough. You know, you can be safe, but if you're not impacting the game, that doesn't really matter, right? There's not a whole lot of value behind just being alive. So I think selecting this Charybdis is an okay choice from Fallen Angels, but you need to follow it up with something really aggressive. Now, they have gone for the Ganesh instead. Ganesh not inherently aggressive, but certainly can be played that way. However, Kappa Corporation have countered this out with the Maui and the Xbalanque.
Maui and Xbalanque are a very, very good laning pair. One of the better laning pairs, in my opinion. Maui with the Master Fisherman, the Island when he hits level 5, Xbalanque with the branching bolas and just not really needing to use any other abilities on the wave. Not to mention, if you really want to be funky with it, you can build ability damage Xbalanque, and suddenly his dash is clipping people for half their health bar for no reason whatsoever. So Xbalanque gets very interesting very quickly if you decide I can be a little bit frisky with my dash.
And I wonder if that's the game plan Kappa Corporation want to go for with them, right? Because, you know, Wukong, Maui, X-Ball, we talked about safety, and all three of those gods actually have pretty good safety by themselves. But with safety comes that potential for dive, right? If Kappa Corporation want to get in there and get messy, all three of these gods can very easily chase down a target, get into the action, and when there is a chaotic dive-heavy fight going on, Xbalanque's Darkest of Nights, that's one of the worst things you could possibly have. You know, this is a little bit off topic, Mechanis, but I've just got to bring it up because it's so relevant to this game. So I came up with a theory yesterday. If you could build Xbalanque support with Sphinx's Bauble, that would put Xbalanque ult on like a 45-second cooldown, or let's be generous with it. Let's say a 60-second cooldown instead. What is the value of having like a Xbalanque ult every 60 seconds? Because I really want to see a team do that, because I think that'd be a nightmare.
So the first rope that is, you said Xbalanque support, which just even if you have 70% cooldown, I don't think that's gonna work terribly well in your favor. But let's assume maybe he had, I don't know, a stun or two to have on lower cooldowns. So the Darkest of Nights, the impact that it has on a fight can be incredibly extensive, as we do get these last 4 bands rolling through: Kukulkan, Thor, Ao Kuang, and Vulcan. The impact that this ult has on a fight is the fact that you can't see. Can't see past 20 units. And while a lot of people who might like join the game for the first time go, well, is that really an issue? There are a lot of players that will point out very quickly how much of an issue it is. You have ultimates that go into the air, and you suddenly can't see that. You have ultimates, you know, that happen from hundreds of units away, or happen, you know, maybe even just 50 units away. Well, if you can't see that go off, even if you hear it, you don't know where it's coming from, because that is one of the challenges of this game at times, is just directional audio. And so as the Fallen Angels pick up Zhang Kui, it will be very interesting to see how the Fallen Angels handle the Kappa Corporation comp here, between the safety and the dive potential that team so far has in just those 3 picks. It is going to be very intriguing, though I do like Tyr, Zhang Kui, and Ganesh into any sort of dive, because Tyr can just kind of trap you in to Zhang Kui's damage, and Ganesh can just keep you from using abilities.
Yeah, it's quite notable that we mentioned the safety of all of the gods so far in this game, but Fallen Angels obviously having 4 gods in the draft. There are not many sets of 4 gods that are much safer than that, right? Like Ganesh, obviously not inherently super duper safe, but the safety that Ganesh provides to everyone else, it's going to be so difficult for Kappa Corporation to actually lock anyone down and kill them off. You know, we touched on what Maui can potentially do with that Masterful Fisherman as well, but that hook, you know, you do still need a bit of time to kill these gods, and you're really not going to get it. You know, Tyr really doesn't care about a whole lot of lockdown. Zhang Kui with that ultimate available, of course, if you start releasing those spirits, it's still very, very tough to kill that god. But there we go. Kappa Corporation with the checkmate move, Mechanis, slamming a Thanatos to execute these very slippery targets.
So I wouldn't exactly call Zhong Kui a slippery target. And as we've seen in lower level play from time to time, you still got to do one thing with the Thanatos. You got to land the ult.
What thing might that be?
You got to land the ult. And that's again, that brings up a very valid point of any ability. You got to hit it first. You know, we take that for granted in the higher divisional brackets because they've been through this before. They know what they're doing with their higher elo for a reason. We talk about it in that regard. And, you know, maybe that's a little bit unfair to these PUDDLES players, obviously, who they're playing competitively for reasons because they know they can hit their abilities. They know they've got the skill to play this game, and they want to get better and show that they are that skilled player that they really believe themselves to be.
Well, it would be very interesting to see who could actually pull it off, right? Because like you said, if this is a lower level set of players, there is still a level of cohesion that you need to connect with these, right? Because as much as you're saying, you know, you got to hit the ult, right? And yes, sometimes that is a obviously foregone conclusion. When the targets that you've got to hit this ult on, probably we're looking at Tyr and Zhong Kui, right? The gods that you really want to kill off quickly. Charybdis is quite tough to nail down, especially with that Whirlpool form. But it's something that Kappa Corporation's rest of their team need to actually set up and provide for this Thanatos, right? It can be quite simple. It could just be a stun coming out from Agni, could be a hook coming out from the Maui, even a knock-up from Wukong. You know, these abilities that are pretty easy to hit should be able to combine pretty easily with this Thanatos execute as well. But while we've got everything already there, Mechanis, is there a particular draft that you actually prioritize over the other one?
I think the Fallen Angels actually have the better draft here. I like the Tyr Ganesh, the way they frontline back and backline tank, the way those two go about their jobs. Very, very clear. It's going to be very easy to see. Tyr is going to want to be the one to engage. Mercury, yes, he can engage from, you know, half a lane away with that ultimate, but he wants to get in after the Tyr's already causing problems, and he wants to allow, and Tyr wants to allow the Mercury to get in a little bit more cleanly, so that Zhong Kui, Charybdis, and Ganesh can kind of come in behind that and start really putting in work and really causing problems. On the other side of things, you've got a semi-poke comp between the Agni and the X-Ball, with Maui trying to enable a little bit of distance by maybe pushing or pulling somebody in position, Thana with the execute, and Wukong just creating problems. So that's going to be one of the interesting things on that regard is really, I feel like, and excuse the pun here, I feel like the Xbalanque is going to be the X factor for the Kappa Corporation in this game.
Nice. Well, let's see if that is how it shapes up to be as we head on over to game number 1 between Kappa Corporation and Fallen Angels. This is, of course, a week 3 fixture, so Kappa Corporation find themselves with 2 wins in the win column and 0 losses in the loss column, whereas the complete opposite for Fallen Angels, they find themselves 0-2 at the moment. And if you are 0-2 early into a season, Mechanis, what is the best way to handle that? How do you come back and, you know, how do you stick together, basically, and try to turn around, especially up against such high-level opposition?
So one of the biggest things you have to keep in mind is that it's still early on in the season. Yes, I mean, obviously, it's not necessarily the earliest. There are 7 or 8 weeks in the season, so it's a quarter of the way through, but there's still time to turn it around. That's the thing you really have to keep in mind is there is time to turn this around. You just have to maybe clean up some of the things you've noticed in your VODs. And you have to really keep in mind what to bring as Kappa Corporation going to find a kill on the Cantriel, and
whoa,
looks like just a lot of action going on here. That's common for the PUDDLES matches.
Do we need the Scythe to finish off this kill? Ooh, Scythe off the mark there. Alpha Awakened. Very slippery. That's hit with the poison darts and falls down. Almost got away with that then, and just not enough health in the pool to work with there. it's criminal. Criminal for Alpha Awakened because they had a multi-pot in their pocket. And I think that might have saved them. Have both the healing potion and the multi-pot ticking at the same time. And Kendriel in danger as well. Fast start here in this game.
So Fallen Angels, it looks like their dual lane may have stepped up a bit too far, just as Jolt may have. That stun should get them to a point where they are fine, especially with the Sean Quay healing in the actual God kit. That being said, Fallen Angels able to stabilize in mid a little bit, but that dual lane, they just need to play a little bit safer. That's the entirety of what that dual lane is. They want to play safe, scale in late. Now he doesn't want to let that happen, and Xbalanque can kind of play either way. So, knowing that you're the Ganesh Charybdis into that kind of more aggressive comp, I have no idea why the Fallen Angels decided to step up outside of maybe getting wave clear and not getting completely out pressured. But you can't take that much damage like that.
Yeah, definitely falling down in a very inopportune time for Fallen Angels as well, and now they're going to be suffering for, well, quite some time. Already find themselves both at a level deficit. What you need now, as the Fallen Angels dueling, is to not let it get any worse, but it can very quickly get a bit worse. Kendriel pulled under with that hook coming out from the passive from Bambi, and that is a killing spree now for Mr. Pojangle. 3-0 on the X-Ball, less than 3 minutes in.
Without a doubt. And I mean, that was a beautiful stun out of the Maui. Great leap, great finish there, and Jolt in the middle of 3. Oh boy.
Ionicus is nearby at least, so I think just the presence of that tier enough. But Jolt there, losing the beads, losing the ultimate, going to be a very tasty target for Waddle on this Thanatos as well. Now, Purple Buff Invade going down from Kappa, really punishing Fallen Angels for their dual lane deficit. But Watchan here, fantastic response, will just invade the Purple Buff instead. But what is that? Why is Alpha Awakened all alone, all the way pushed up high? Kendriel does peel for them. And actually nearby is Boachan, gets the special delivery already. Beats forced out from Mr. Pojangle. Ooh, there's the Sonic Boom off the mark, and now has no mana to work with. Does this Mercury, gets one punch, gets a second punch. You're gonna need a couple more than that. Kendriel with the silence. We didn't need the silence, we needed the one on the turn of fate. Too late. And Mr. Pojangle gets out with their killing spree. Oh no, oh my goodness. Hooked under tower, but does stay alive.
Bambi almost returned the favor that someone performed onto his mother, as we get a bit of action here in the dual lane yet again.
Oh, solo kill in the solo lane. Bonehead picking up advantage against the tier. Fallen Angels now suffering in 2 lanes. Meanwhile, the mid lane actually going quite well. Decent start for the Zhonghui, finds himself a kill up. Should Fallen Angels now be trying to play through this mid lane, in your opinion, Mechanis? Or should they be trying to recover either one, or maybe even both of these side lanes? Hold on. The Thanatos in the air. There's an Alpha Awakened in the ground. Make that a double kill for Waddle. Another set of kills in this dual lane. Dual lane's done and dusted. Where do the Fallen Angels fight back?
So, one of the biggest things you have to keep in mind whenever you're losing a game like this is the fact of the matter is you want 2 lanes to be stable. Not winning, stable. If you can stabilize 2 of your lanes, you're probably going to have an okay time getting the late game. And that's the biggest thing the Fallen Angels have to do here. Their team comp functions so much better in the late game team fights than it ever will throughout the rest of the game, as it looks like Mercury going to be able to get away ulting all the way through the towers in order to get back into the jungle. Beautiful Mercury ulting, save his own life there. But back to the point here is that what I would want the Fallen Angels to do, or what I would try and do in their shoes, is really try and get Alpha Awakened back onto his feet, set him in a spot where he can get to that late game. He's one of your 2 damage dealers. You can really ask C and Trail to step up a little bit and maybe like kind of play between the front and the back line. It's a difficult thing to ask your support to do, but it's something that needs to be able to be expected of them to perform when needed. So that's where I would want to see some focus out of Watchon, is maybe not look toward solo as much, start looking toward that dual lane, try and prop your Charybdis back up a little bit, get them in this game.
Well, let's see if that's what happens. Bambi has been spending a ton of time over here, and Alpha Awaken forced to go under the tower, but might be in some danger.
Oh!
That will be the landfall, ripping Alpha Awaken out of the ground and putting them back in the ground as well. The thing is, if you're Fallen Angels, like you said, Mechanis, you want to recover this Charybdis if you can, but you need to do something about that, right? What's happened is that Bambi has just sat on top of this Charybdis, ruined all of the potential safety, and now the tower already being gone, this safe Charybdis pick that you've gone for is now going to struggle even with the amount of safety in the kit.
Without a doubt, though, one of the things that does provide, considering that Pojangle has elected to push this way forward, if the Charybdis decides to allow themselves to play that slowly, is it allows Charybdis to freeze farm up near their tower and try and take advantage of that and get farmed up that way, where they can stay relatively safe. You know, maybe only push it up a little bit when their buffs come up, or they know the buff is coming up. But for now, Charybdis really needs to play back, play safe, as it looks like Charybdis is set up for another clashing duo. Oh boy.
We do see, oh, there's the ult coming down from the Thanatos. Oh, and Sonic Boom as well. Perfectly combined with the Dharmic Pillars as well. Now, Jolt gets aggressive onto the enemy Acne there, but Evil Eye's more than safe. And actually a hook coming in. Good double stun, but no follow-up damage. So that's a small win for Fallen Angels. This mid lane still standing tall against the aggression from Kappa Corporation. Can they get any more? Well, there's a landfall coming out, and Jolt has not a lot of health to work with, but the bomb off the mark from Evil Eyes, and that will be that for this mid-fight. Mr. Pojangle now, though, might suffer a little bit. Darkest of Night comes out. Watchon trying to take the 1v1, but now has to retreat. There comes the ult. The more hungers, but doesn't stun because of the purification beat from Mr. Pojangle. There's a 1-on-2, a very important moment in this fight. If the X-Ball gets out safely, it's going to be really bad for Fallen Angels. And now with Bambi on the scene, Watchon gets hooked. Fantastic silence there. Evil Eye's not able to capitalize on the kill, and it will instead be Andrea right now who falls down to Mr. Pojangle on this rampage and shows no signs of stopping.
Alpha Awaken.
Oh my goodness.
And attacks a camp at probably the worst possible time to have done so in the middle of fight, takes a little bit of extra poke and just immediately pays for it. Pojangle finding the extra damage necessary to pick up the kill on Alpha Awaken, and that immediately is not what you want to see for the Fallen Angels there. And I understand, you know, Alpha Awaken, you hadn't had your purple buff in a while. You're really getting stripped for farm, and things are getting really dicey over there for you in duo. You want to take this opportunity while maybe he's a little bit distracted. Try and get your buff. Try and get situated. Try and get back into this game. Time and place is everything, and that was not it.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Alpha Awakened. 0-4 now are both the dual lane members of Fallen Angels, but it's still not over for the rest of the map. You know, the mid lane, like we said, has been quite strong. Jolt now actually finds himself with a level lead over Evil Eyes right now. Sir Ionicus, despite getting soloed out early on, is still okay. You know, parity in levels. Oh, there's the Sonic Boom onto Waddle. Oh my goodness, but a Scythe shuts down any attempt from Watchon there, just completely interrupted. And oh, Jolt now might find themselves in some danger. The meteors come out. That's not quite enough, but the hovering death might be enough. Does connect with that Jonqui, who does go down. And now Kendrill, this is just the worst spot as a support. You know you are dead. There is nothing you can do but just buy some time. They go down. Meanwhile, a kill on the left-hand side of the map as well. 3 kills for nothing for Kappa Corporation.
Things really just going from bad to worse so far in this game. Fallen Angels, if they want to stay in this, they really need to solidify as a team here and start thinking about, well, what objectives do we want to do when they do X? How are we going to do Y? So if they say Fire Giant were up right now, I know it's only 11 minutes in the game, but say we're Fire Giant up right now. And and Pojangle getting chased out, able to
Oh
dodge
my
out
goodness.
a major ultimate here in the middle of 4.
Truly.
Landfall going to land.
Oh my
And
goodness.
Pojangle.
He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. Okay, but he does manage to take one down with him, and that will restart that killing spree coming through. Now, Jolt is low, and Jolt needs to get out. You are the prime target, but there is Bonehead in, goes into the somersault cloud. Will not give chase just yet, but Sir Ionicus on the scene, nowhere near as healthy as their opponent, Sun Wukong. So Fallen Angels do get that big shutdown there that they desperately needed, but it did go on the back of Jolt. So still, all of the eggs for Fallen Angels in the same basket.
Well, the egg's definitely there as Waddle coming in to try and steal a camp isn't going to be able to do so.
He got it!
How?
What?
How did he out-secure tier ultimate?
I mean, look, when the game is going your way, like it is right now for Kappa Corp, it just kind of stays that way. This first beacon is almost going the way of Kappa Corp, but the Sonic Boom comes in combined with the spirits being released from Jolt, but at the wrong time. Really did not find good value with that ultimate. This beacon now goes back the other way, but there is a hovering death in the sky. Boachan feels the full force of that, gets silenced up from the dash, does fall down to Mr. Pojangle, make that 2 for Mr. Pojangle, wants the 3rd as well, and does not get it because Waddle wants in on the action. Another set of 3 kills for Kappa Corp. Fallen Angels finding nothing again at this beacon.
You know, at this stage of the game, it's really hard to believe that that was only the first beacon, but here we are, 17-3 total kill count, and the first beacon will go ahead and be claimed by the Kappa Corporation, who have already, might I add, broken away every single tower on the left of the map, and now, if you're Alpha Awakened, you know, you're 3 levels down, building Stormseeker. Now you just go in. You are worth nothing. You aren't worth a minion. Go find your farm however you have to do it. Because at this point, even dying is going to be faster than playing too far back.
I think that's a key point, right? If you do have to push up very high in the dual lane and still, you know, so high that you will just die despite being Charybdis, any farm that you can get is going to be so much more worth it than anything the enemy team gets. Like, the time that you buy for your team just by pushing up that lane has got to be worth it at this point, because this is a 9-1 Jibalanke right now with a full rage stacked up and a dominance, and I'm pretty sure probably close to a full passive as well. So this X-Ball going to be hitting so hard. And Mr. Pojangle, freedom of the map if you want it. Candriel just feeling the full force of Agni at the moment. Now, this is interesting from Fallen Angels. They've grouped as 5. They're looking to take this Pyromancer. Alpha Awakened makes their way all the way over. There is a Thanatos on the way, but the Fallen Angels get the objective. They trade out Jolt in the meantime, as Sir Ionicus might be going down next. Does fall down to Bambi. Now, what does the retreat look like? Alpha Awakened fires off the ultimate and sees a Thanatos flying over their head. Gets a knock-up, gets hooked, but uses the bead. There is the landfall, though, which will do everything that Kappa Corporation need, and they run through a triple kill for MCM Bambi on the Maui right now. That is the stage we're at in this game.
Without a doubt, and when it rains, it pours, and Kappa Corporation are in an absolute downpour. Kills coming their way, left and right, falling out of the sky, it seems.
Oh, Mr. Pojangle, surely in danger. No way. Boachan completely burnt up by Evil Eyes right then. Great ult, great engagement, but tower aggro not on the X-Ball. The beads and the Aegis, I believe, just the Aegis actually used from Evil Eyes there. So immediately burns the relics, but that's all you're gonna get. And I mean, maybe that's worth it, right? Maybe for Boachan, now there is an opportunity on this Agni coming up soon. And at this point for Fallen Angels, that's what you're looking for. Any small opportunity, because everything else just hasn't gone your way.
For Fallen Angels, nothing this game has really gone your way. Like, yeah, you've got 3 kills, so you could try and say something has gone your way, but obviously the game has just been so out of favor for you. I mean, their Thanatos is 2 levels ahead of, I believe, their highest. Yeah, no. Tier is their highest level player, 15. but 2 levels ahead of your mid laner, ahead of your jungler, 5 levels ahead of your support, who hasn't got their second relic yet, by the way. 16 minutes in the game, still level 11, and still with the sturdy shard. So definitely a lot of problems the way of Fallen Angels here, who are almost 10k down at that, 16 and a half minutes into the game.
Hey, look, let's go bright side for Kendrill. Gotten a ton of value out of that sturdy shot. That is for sure. Like at least that relic has been used. If you'd gone for something else, certainly wouldn't have done as well. Boachan here just on an adventure, hunting for some farm, but just can't find it. We've seen Mercury in the past be considered this hyper carry style jungler, right? Certainly can do that if you get to that late game stage. Oh, look at the threat that Mr. Pujangle poses. Just walks at Alpha Awaken, and that forces the old Candriel getting some more value out of that sturdy shard, but that will be the last time. Does fall down on that left hand side, but Sir Ionicus and Boachan naked eyes at this fire giant. Boachan here with a rage and a Deathbringer. No, not fully stacked is the rage, but there is enough damage here that eventually Fallen Angels will take this objective. Now, the Kappa Corporation spot this, I wonder. They have taken the gold. They have no idea where anyone else is, and Fallen Angels making a big move on this. Now, it looks like first on the scene is going to be Waddle XP. Does fly in, sees Sir Ionicus low, gets onto the objective. What can they do about it? Fallen Angels do get it. So that is the macro fire in the pocket of Fallen Angels. They have the gold in pocket. That does mean Kappa Corp can't take it. Jolt will be punished by everyone else. But is that what Fallen Angels needed, Mechanis? Have they bought themselves just a bit of time with that fire giant?
So what they've done is, at the cost of probably their right side tower here, they have bought themselves the ability to defend the Phoenix line. They've made sure that Kappa Corporation cannot end this game too terribly quickly outside of a mistake by one of Fallen Angels' currently 4 players up and available, though they need to be able to do that again. So there's now 5 minutes here for Kappa Corporation to possibly make a mistake and allow Fallen Angels back into the game. Beautiful play for a team that far behind. Now you just gotta hope that there is another mistake made by Kappa Corporation.
Yeah, there's certainly a brain on the side of Fallen Angels, right? There is someone calling the shots who recognized an opportunity, and they capitalized on it very well, but they have to continue that forward. So Bambi and Mr. Pojangle pushing forward here, want to make an opportunity on this mid lane tier 2, and they should get it pretty cheaply. Like you said, Fallen Angels can defend at their Phoenix line, but not really any further than that. That was only a half HP tier 2. It has now fallen down. It is just the base to be held, but there's certainly a spanner in the works for Kappa Corporation, right? What do you do if you are Kappa Corp in this situation?
If you're a Kappa Corporation in this situation, what you do, you start pushing these waves so that they're all ready. They're ready for you to go. Once the fire giant is available, once all these things are ready to go, you don't want to sit there and have your wave pushed all the way back to your towers when you're ready to go for their phoenixes. You want your wave to be meeting you at their birds. And so that's really what I want to see Kappa Corporation do. And in the meantime, Mercury's just going to take its tier 1 tower.
It tries to solo it, but you can't crit a tower, unfortunately, and is considering using the ult, will indeed use it. Now, there is a collapse coming through, being led by Bambi over here. Boachan, that back's not going to work for you. Oh, not quite. And now, what can Kappa Corporation do about this? Boachan is certainly in a difficult situation, but will manage to get away. And it looks like the rest of Kappa Corp trying to push up this right-hand side as well. Now, there are still a lot of members with Fire Giant on Fallen Angels. Only 3 with it. 2 of them, of course, already losing that buff. But there's the landfall coming out. Gets the beads from Bolt. And that's a good damage pillars as well to stop any more aggression. But Fallen Angels, they actually want to fight this. Sorry, Ionicus pushing the backline of the enemy team through that damage pillar setup. And Now, this is where the sustain has to kick in for this Fire Giant buff, because Fallen Angel's already taken a lot of damage. Boachan in the mid lane, head-to-head with the opposing jungler. Now the wave comes in for Sir Ionicus with a huge ultimate there. Gets tons of stuns out, but do they have the damage to follow up? Not in the face of Mr. Bojangle there. And now Alpha Awaken has to go under the water, try to retreat. Bonehead giving chase, does not get the kill, but the right side Phoenix has been exposed and will go down. Kappa Corporation, in the face of adversity, get what they needed.
You call that adversity?
I mean, there was 3 people with fire, you know? That's...
No. That's 3 people with fire on a team down 13k. That's... There's...
It's fire, bro. That's, it's worth, like, a few K gold.
If it were EFG, we might have a conversation here.
Alright,
That's basic fire time. That's basic FG. Come on.
That's fair. It was something that, like we said, Fallen Angels had what they could at that opportunity, right? There's no better spot they could be in than be at that Phoenix with Fire Giant in pocket, but it does still go down, like you said, just because of the virtue of how big the gold lead was.
Exactly. The point there is Fallen Angels need to buy themselves time. They are a team that scales well if they get there. That's the question right now, is can they endure this middle game that they, by not playing as safe as they could have, they've kind of set themselves up here as Boachan ults into a wall, unable to get the full distance out of that ultimate. Boachan has to keep running here, able to get away. Jolt able to get him out of there, as Waddle in the middle of 4 probably just doesn't care, able to heal up enough out of his passive. And things are going to go ahead and settle on back down. But the thing to keep in mind here is Kappa Corporation, if you're Fallen Angels, you're just trying to slow them back down. That's it. That's all you're doing. Because...
And I would say that Boachan's doing that, right? When Boachan is taking so much attention from Kappa Corp, making them chase like that, making them run after, like the Fire Giant's up, but they spent all this time dealing with the Mercury. I think they've done about as well as they can, but when this Fire Giant goes down, that's when it's going to be danger.
And this Fire Giant will go down. There is no 2 ways about that, as Jolt is going to step up here. But if he's going to step up, he's got to be with his team, and his team just is not here. Jolt can be able to take this Fire Giant. That's a big question right here.
Ooh, Kappa Corporation do get it. Jolt was close there, didn't want to commit any further, but can they retreat despite that non-committal there? So being jumped on now by Bonehead, and that will be that for Jolt's life. My goodness, Mr. Bojangle on another big killing spree. 7 kills in a row now, and there's been a bit of a split push going on, so whatever Fallen Angels could get, they have now gotten, but can they get back to defend? No interest from Boachan in doing that, still pushing on the left-hand side. This mid-lane Phoenix is going to be going down right after Sir Ionicus falls down first, so 2 Phoenixes now off the board for Fallen Angels. Kappa Corporation still posture up, take their move when they want it. They're going to send Mr. Bonehead back to base, but Mr. Bonehead surely to return very soon with that teleport on the way as well. So everything going the way of Kappa Corp. This final Phoenix is down, and it's all up to Fallen Angels now to find a miracle. Oh, that's not it.
A miracle they do indeed need to find, but Andriel definitely didn't find it.
Yeah, Mr. Bojangle did find the fact that they will be divine. Oh, a triple ult coming in. The Sonic Boom, fantastic. But it surely won't be enough. And yes, Bois will get taken down by that ult from the Thanatos. And there is Jolt stepping up. Jolt locked in place. Another killing spree for Evil Eyes this time. So Ionica's back in the fight. Drops the ultimate, but doesn't hit anyone. Alpha Awaken trying to stack up their Stormseeker. Gets one shot with the basics. Sir Ionica's trying to buy time, but will not buy enough. Kappa Corporation 32-3 in 25 minutes. Take game number 1.
A very, very dominant first game from the Kappa Corporation here. I mean, can't really overstate this one. They came in the dual lane, absolutely clean shot. Just what was it, like 5-0, 3 or 4 minutes in? It just didn't do well.
Yeah. It was like really heavy. It might have even been 6 kills in a row in duo. Like there just was never a reply from the duo lane, right? There was a kill in mid, and well, there were 3 kills in mid overall that all went on the back of Bolt, but the duo lane completely in favor of Kappa Corporation that game.
Without a doubt. And when you're losing a lane that heavily, you really can't afford it. And one of the things that you have to keep in mind when you're playing with a Mercury on your team, you cannot expect a gank out of a Mercury before level 5. Because for Mercury, he doesn't really hit a power spike before 5. He's not really able to just go threaten somebody before level 5, where he can just kind of run behind their tower and then ult back down the lane. So it's a
Yeah.
you have to play a very different game with Mercury, not just as an opponent of him, where maybe you want to put some wards back behind their T1 or behind your T1 so you know when Merc's about to ult you. But maybe you also want to put some more, maybe, but also as his teammate, you have to play it a little bit differently. You have to keep in mind where he is on the map, when he's running their way, and when he really wants to get engaged. Again, it's just that Merc plays the game completely differently from everybody else.
Yeah, certainly took a lot of time in that game, just farming up through the jungle, getting invades when possible, and ulting out to safety. It was a good idea, but the rest of the team just didn't really hold with it. And the bottom line is we need to see something different from Fallen Angels in game number 2. But while we wait for game number 2, we are going to go for a short break, but don't go anywhere. If this is a turnaround, it's going to be one hell of a turnaround that you want to see. But we will be right back.
You don't know how you met us, you don't know why. Come and watch some Smite with us again tonight.
Anyway,
Welcome
welcome
on.
back everybody to QSL for this season, and today we are still, of course, Fallen Angels against Kappa Corporation, with Fallen Angels falling down in that first game. And why wait? Because the players don't want to wait to get to game number 2. Let's head on over to the picks and bans for that second game. Mechanics, nice of you to join us. After that first game, what do we need to see different from Fallen Angels?
So the thing we really need to see different from Fallen Angels is they need to be able to come in and get a little more involved. Their team very much wanted to be more involved, maybe wanted their Mercury to be more involved, but their picks didn't allow them to be as involved as maybe they wanted to play. So maybe they might want to pick more around the way they want to play. That's really all it comes down to. Fallen Angel is going to go ahead and respect ban the Maui away from Kappa Corporation after that game 1. And
Yeah, Maui got off to a good start, and it's understandable, right?
Very good start.
Yeah, like the whole dual lane. As much as we can touch on it, was maybe just the Ganesh stepped up a touch too high, right? I'm not sure if he went for a dash or something. Just found himself behind the minion wave, and no dash to speak of, and got caught out there. So apparently they seem to be blaming that. Now Fallen Angels seem to highly prioritize that Charybdis so high that they're actually going to ban it away because they don't want to pick it up themselves. So a lot of change up here, but I think one thing you said just now about Fallen Angels needing to pick around how they want to play, I think is exactly right. We actually saw in the previous game Alpha Awaken on the Charybdis picking up a Storm Seeker, right? And Storm Seeker is an item you want to be getting if you're getting very active, especially from dual lane, where you're hitting enemies enough to get the stacks on that item to really get the value out of it. Now, if Fallen Angels wanted to play that way, they certainly didn't have the draft for it. We spent the entire picks and bans of game number 1 discussing how safe they had gone. And because of all that safety, when it starts getting out of control, you don't have the better ways to get into the fight and follow up with the rest of your team. So, in particular, that Charybdis being a weak spot for Fallen Angels, I think it's very good that they banned it out this time, if anything, to stop themselves from picking it again. So I want to see something much more proactive this time from Fallen Angels.
They certainly need to pick more proactively, and one of the things that we also talked about last game was the fact that they had the better team fight, they had the better late game, they had all the better later stages of the game, all the tools to take a team fight and win that. But one of the problems that comes along with that is generally that means while you have really good 5-man synergy, maybe your 3-man or 2-man synergies just aren't there. As Fallen Angels is going to be the team to pick up the Isha Blanque this time around. A pick that did very well in the hands of Pojangle, could even attribute this to being a 4th ban.
Yeah, totally right. When a god gets so out of control, one of the things I've always liked, especially in the lower levels of amateur play, is if you can, take away what did so well for your opponents last game. You go, all right, you got us, but what else have you got? How deep do the god puddles go in Puddles division? That's what we need to see. And a god that was banned out in game number 1 but has now been picked up, make that 2 gods, is Ishel and Cucullin. So I'm just going to throw it to you, Mechanics. With this X-Ball acting as a pseudo 4th ban for Fallen Angels, is it worth giving up Cucullin and Ishel?
If you feel your solo laner can handle the pressure that Cucullin puts out, certainly. And Ishel's much the same in mid. She just provides pressure. That's her job. To get pressure, win the lane. To get pressure to win the game and win the lane from there. Or win the lane, win the game from there. That's her entire job. That's her prerogative. As Horus was banned out game 1 and is now going to be picked up as well. So assuming that Horus is a support, this should be an incredibly aggressive dual lane. Horus right now, I'm second to none. Right now, Horus second to none. I'm calling it.
Yeah, I mean, Horus, well known right now as this very aggressive support. You need to be on the front foot. So definitely a switch up in the ethos for Fallen Angels. If you are going to play a passive style, you definitely do not want to be picking Horus. But Kappa Corporation reacting to this very well. An Ares pickup is actually a big danger for Horus. Horus wants to always be on the front foot, like we said, because you always have that safety of just dashing back to your team and getting back to safety. But Ares with the cripples coming out, especially with those shackles, that can make things a lot more dicey for this Horus. You have to pick your engagements much more carefully, and what you don't want to be doing is using that to the sky defensively in reaction to a no escape from Ares, because that's when you really reduce a lot of the power of this Horus. You know, it stops your surprise engage, it stops your surprise, drop ship the team out of danger. I actually really like this Ares choice, because I feel like not only does it get value on Expel and the Scylla, but the Horus, the amount that it shuts down your direct opponent, is actually just such a smart pickup from Kappa Corp.
Without a doubt. And I mean, that's one of the things that as production pointed out, as a Horus main, one of the gods that I prefer to ban out whenever I think, I want Horus in this game, is that Ares. Ares chains, that the cripple just knocks out two of my abilities. I can't use them. And if the Ares is ever in that favorable position to say, oh, he's 2ing at me, I'm gonna just chain him. Well, there's my stun, just gone for 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's it. Again, just feeds into what I was saying. We're gonna have to see selective engages coming out from this Horus. Now, that doesn't mean you have to not engage often, right? You just have to figure out where this Ares is going to be and try to avoid him at best. Or if you are choosing to engage around this Ares, you need to make sure you've got at least a clear angle in, and probably don't want to be engaging specifically onto the Ares. Like you said, if you just turn around and drops a shackles on you, then all of a sudden you're in big danger. Now, Rama being selected by Kappa Corporation for this duo lane, we saw the Expel go very out of control into a Charybdis, whereas now the Expel's on the other side, with Fallen Angels picking that up and Rama going up head-to-head. How do you see the matchup specifically between Rama and Expel developing in this game?
So the difference between Expel versus, as we have a triple warrior comp.
Never mind the question. Break it down.
My. So, never minding the question here. Let's go ahead and break down that. Let's go ahead and break down the triple warrior comp.
All right, I'm ready.
That is very much Chungle. That is going to be Shock Jungle. So you have Horus support, Hercules solo, and Chungle with the obvious Scylla Jablanque mid. That's my thoughts on this.
I see it. There's some value to a Hercules jungle as well, but I do believe Shock Jungle will be the big one, right? That's the obvious choice. Has much better gank potential than a Hercules. Hercules almost relying on that the blink to get in onto the fight. So we'll see if that is how it lines up, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see that. The good thing about this Fallen Angels draft is, despite it being this 4 physical setup, right, tends to be something you want to avoid if possible, but you don't have to avoid it, especially with Horus being able to shred protections if he gets the engage. But specifically, what I'm drawn to is the fact that Scylla is your only magical damage. You still have to build magic defense against a Scylla, because a Scylla dealing basically true damage is going to obliterate an entire enemy team. But that enemy team mechanics is this Kappa Corporation draft, which has a pretty good front line of its own. The Ares and Kukulkan, very strong, more than happy to get on top of Basila, but also Raven, a very good god at pouncing on these mages, forcing them to have to play on the back foot or escape, and maybe even use the ult defensively, and that's certainly where you don't want to be. Now, there's maybe a little bit of bias coming out with the Horus being drafted by Fallen Angels, but is there a specific draft here between these two, now that we see them, that you would favor again in this game?
Actually, you say the bias might be coming out here, but I favor Kappa Corporation's draft overall.
Wow.
Look at Scylla, look at Jablanque, look at Horus, look at Shock, look at Hercules. Well, maybe not Shock so much. I don't think the cripple interacts with the 2 teleport to the 1.
Oh, I think it does, actually. I think you actually do prevent the teleport with the cripple.
Well, there you go. The linchpin in the Kappa Corporation draft is going to be this Ares, but chains aren't that hard to hit, and every single member of Fallen Angels is really excuse me for the pun here, crippled by those chains.
Ooh. Boo. Boo. I will continue booing in a moment after we send it to game, but boo. Boo to you. Never mind. Anyway, let's just see it when we can if the game actually lines up the way we think, and it will in fact be a Hercules in the jungle with a Chuck in the solo lane. So break that one down for me, Mechanis. What do you think the Fallen Angels are thinking, and why would they have go for this Herc jungle rather than the Chuck jungle?
So the Hercules jungle is going to be a little bit more surprising than the Chalk jungle that even has a nickname, Chungle. However, one of the things to definitely bring up about the Hercules jungle is he's very, very reliant on his, I think it's 2-1, not 1-2. I forget which ability the actual, like, knock up and pull is on. As we see already, Alpha Awakened getting chained down by this Ares and the flames burning Candriel for half their health. Cannot stand in the Ares fire early on.
Yeah, already the pressure mounting. Now, this is kind of what Hercules can do, especially in this early phase. Just standing there, posing up, getting in position, and just marching to Evil Eyes there, actually. Doesn't even use an ability, now does actually burn the knock-up. Oh, and reaction to that push from Boachan. Jolt will dash away to their own safety, but Evil Eyes, taking a couple of big shots already on this E-Shell. Now, the E-Shell will be okay to sustain up a little bit, but you certainly don't want to take too many. Ooh, blink in from Boachan. Does not connect from there. Now, Hercules needs to remain safe, but definitely wanting to be more proactive. Our Fallen Angels on this pick here. We already see it. You certainly don't want to get punished for it, though, and Boachan having to dash away. But with the dual lane not going so well as we see here, Alpha Awakened taking shots, needs one more shot. Does miss the poach angle, but the peel is enough from Candriel. Pressure mounting in duo mid lane. Going okay for Fallen Angels. A very high octane start, despite no kills just yet.
One of the things, never mind, I don't get to bring that up right now, is another fight going to break out in this mid-jungle area. Fallen Angels able to get away from that fight too. Candriel going to be chained up, but the flames not going to connect, not enough damage to get this horse into the ground. And watching running back through mid. Looks like finally we can break a few things down here. One of the things I want to... What is going on here?
Sector battle. Oh, the transformation from Bonehead. Right in time, but not enough. Bonehead gets the stick and then dies on the stick. Will go down for a solo kill in the solo lane for first blood.
You know what?
Down,
Bonehead's name is right. That was rather boneheaded. Why are
there was something.
Slapfest?
Oh, Candriel walks in first, crippled out first, chained down, rolling thunder from Mr. Pojangle, and that will be that. A kill in the duo lane this time for Kappa Corporation. 1-1 in kills, 3 minutes into this one. Feel free to break down that solo lane kill again.
No, I don't think I will. It's still distracting.
I mean, that's fair enough.
I would like to bring up something earlier that was a little bit intriguing from the Horus. So at level 2, while Horus was still up, while that dual lane for Fallen Angels was still level 2, but the Horus and the Xbalanque, we saw the Horus go ahead and use Protector's Surge to get to Alpha Awaken, heal Alpha, give Alpha the protections that he needed to stay alive in that engagement, which phenomenal use of that ability, and at that point of that level. I'm not going to knock that at all. But it's a way that Horus does not want to have to play. You don't want to have to 3 to everything. And especially not at level 2. Candriel going to get pulled in by no escape to start that fight.
Pulled in, but might still be able to get away. Oh, gets caught by the meteor in the process as well. And this Horus just so slow. Has no escape just yet. Dashes to the minions, but hold on. Here comes Boachan to try to clean one back up. Candriel trying to juke by running in a straight line and does not get rewarded for it. Boachan now needs to be careful because blinking in is Waddle, and Alpha Awaken's taken so much damage. Manages to avoid the overhead kick. Great shove coming up from Bob, but the Mystic Rush shall put an end to any retreat. The dual lane goes down. Oh, Jolt does just about get out alive. Evil Eyes there almost getting the kill. I don't know when mid lane became solo lane 2, but you know that's just what's going on over here. There's just chaos everywhere across the map. Kappa Corporation, though, find themselves on top.
Without a doubt. Oh, boy. And it sounds like the time to say, here we go again. Candrial, even on a more aggressive, more front-footed pick, still having to play off the back foot, still unable to really get aggressive and get things going. Alpha Awaken still not quite able to wake up a little bit and get the damage flowing. Is Candrial going to get chained yet again? And that's just a great way to get put in the dirt. I mean, you can see it. The Ares alone dealing half of Horus's HP. I mean, obviously Horus is going to be...
Oh, no. Dude, Bambi is just, like, flexing on this guy right now. Honestly, he's dead. If they wanted it, he's dead. He's going to go chase, actually. Is Bambi. Tries to catch up, but does not catch up to Candrial. That was, like... Again, like you said, that's just what Ares does at the moment. Now, the mid lane that had been going well for Fallen Angels early on, now suffering a little bit in this 2-on-2. It all relies on Boachan being able to connect with that 2-1 combo, like he'd been saying. And with the solo lane being pretty potentially volatile, I'm not surprised to see not a whole lot of attention over there. But with this Hercules versus Raven matchup, the Hercules match is so much more difficult to play, right? It's not quite so plug and play as the Raven.
Without a doubt. And I mean, as we see Alpha Awaken immune out the chains from Bambi there, we have Boachan taking out a jungle camp for 400 damage in a dash. Hercules is fun, guys. 400 damage dashes are great.
I mean, look, if you can hit those dashes onto the right targets, it's enough, you know. From this jungle pick, I would like to see a lot more activity now from Boachan. Now that they have the Jotuns online, a quick combo of abilities will be enough, but might be enough for Sir Ionicus to fall to Bonehead, and Bonehead picking up a solo kill response in the solo lane. Meanwhile, the duo lane, more pressure coming onto Candrial, finds himself around the corner, gets caught with the no escape, surely has to use the To the Skies, has to fire it off early. Alpha Awaken now finds himself 1-on-3. The Horus has abandoned them, but here is Boachan. But the Mystic Rush hits onto 2. Waddle gets the first kill, and Alpha Awaken does still go down. The health bar's so low for Fallen Angels, but Kappa Corporation's so healthy, they might even start looking at a Gold Fury too. Evil Eyes on the way over, maybe just trying to hunt an opportunity onto Jolt, but Jolt on this Scylla, nothing untoward happening to them just yet, but not able to have the good start like they had on the Zhong Kui in game 1.
Without a doubt, and that has to be true to the fact that while Scylla is one of the best scaling gods in Smite history, she is one of the worst starting gods in Smite history as well. So Jolt, however, able to keep things in line, able to stay even with this Ishel, even though Ishel even has an assist above the Scylla here. So that's actually one thing the Boulder not quite going to get a kill over there in solo. And here we go, Alpha Awaken yet again. A tower down to his dual lane opposition already. Boachan with the knockup, but gonna have to dash away. Maybe.
Recognize they were in trouble, but they still find themselves in some trouble. Yeah, not doing anything but dying. Oh, there's a Horus ult on the way. Candrial recognizes they also might find themselves in danger, but there are 3 members nearby for Fallen Angels if they want to get active around this Bull Demon. Bonehead, though, just doing so much damage, as is Waddle on this Raven. Now, no Mystic Rush, but Jolt is quite low. There's the Mystic Rush. Does drop the overhead kick and forces the I'm a Monster out. Meanwhile, Candrial, oh my goodness, melted down by Bonehead there. Evil Eyes now finds himself 1-on-1 with Sir Ionicus, loses the Purification Beads, but the Chuck doesn't have any damage left in the kit. Will have to retreat because Bonehead is just too much of a threat on this Cucull in this game very quickly, getting out of hands for Fallen Angels.
Without a doubt. I mean, Shock, known as a lane bully, but you're not going to lane bully the lane bully. A lane bully is not going to bully the bully. And that's kind of what Bonehead is playing here on this Kukola, is he is the bully. He's not going to be bullied by anybody else on that day. And that's a big reason why he's got that 2-level lead here, is Ionica's trying to play Shock the way that we all know Shock to be played, but can't really play that way into the Kukola, and he is paying for it. On the flip side, Boris 0-3 here, and if I were Candriel here, I would be looking just to go find somewhere as Blotchon getting the no escape treatment.
Man, it like I said, goes from bad to worse very quickly, even on this type of draft. Now, the problem that Fallen Angels find themselves with now is they don't have that inherent safety to fall back on. Specifically Boachan, right? We saw Boa in the previous game getting aggressive into the enemy jungle, but you're Mercury, you can just dash on out there. Hercules certainly not able to have that same kind of safety. He has a dash, but it only goes about 2 feet, and then after that you find yourself still being chased down, and there's no escape from the Ares has not potentially got that much value, right? With the amount of CC immune ultimates on the side of Fallen Angels, with the access to purification beads, we do see 3 sets of beads already on Fallen Angels. It's just not something you're going to rely on too much. But being able to use it to finish kills like that, being able to use it to just burn these ultimates, like, you know, Boachan needs that ult to have anything happen. You also need to be hitting those stuns if you're going to be getting it. There's the I'm a Monster from Jolt for some reason. Doesn't manage to find anything with it yet. Does manage to hit Bambi, but that will be that. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Fallen Angels is just not coming together at all right now.
Without a doubt. I mean, the Fallen Angels, you're looking at you've got 2 kills, spent 11.5 minutes. I mean, if you're looking at maybe top-level play before 11-6, teams would have been happy with that as Bonehead, just trying to get away here as he is chased down by 248 out of the Unearth for some reason. Out.
There's the club. Boachan, though, picking up a kill, will almost certainly be going down for it. Waddle is nearby, decides to go in with the blink, and oh, there's the Darkest of Nights. Not going to be enough, though. There is the Mystic Rush, so blink and Mystic Rush down. I think Waddle might not be too happy with what they had to expend there, but that's the sort of proactive play we needed to see from Fallen Angels. It's just not netting itself as we get further afterwards, right? Like the blue buff now gets invaded instead by Kappa Corp. The beacon going the way of Kappa Corp. You're not getting anything after getting these kills, and there's just so much being lost on the map, and it's already extended itself to almost a 5,000 gold lead. And there's not even as many kills as there were in the previous game, but it almost feels worse from Fallen Angels' point of view.
It's one thing to just die a bunch of times and still get your buffs and still feel like you at least have a chance in these fights. It's a whole other thing as Bambi should die here. It's a whole nother thing entirely when you get into this kind of situation. You haven't necessarily died a lot, but you have 0 map control and you just keep watching the buffs get taken. It's really taxing to play in that way.
And we'd see that now. Coming out from Bambi there was just a bit of a mistake overstepping. Ooh, a Rama ult from way downtown, and Jolt almost feeling the full force of it. Mr. Pojangle not happy that they are not like 10-0 in this game as they were in the previous game, but might be in a tough spot. There's some big damage coming up from Bois, but not enough just yet. There is the ultimate coming out from Sorionicus. Mr. Pojangle just about alive, dodges out the axe. Boachan with a double knock-up on the backline, but no push to follow up. Can Fallen Angels get in behind this? Sorionicus gets the kill, but pays the price for it. That's sort of what I've been talking about. Fallen Angels are getting things, but it's so much more difficult for them. And Bonehead comes in, takes no damage from this tower. Jolt takes a ton of damage from Bambi. That tier 1 will be going down. Candriel will go down just to follow it. Everything there went the way of Kappa Corporation because it was so hard for Fallen Angels to find even 1 kill.
Without a doubt, and that's the power of this Ares pick here into this Fallen Angels comp in particular, and why, again, I really favored Kappa Corporation in this game. This Ares pick is the linchpin of that entire strategy. It's what shuts the Fallen Angels down out of everything. Forces them to use CC immune ultimates. Doesn't allow them to use their dashes. Like, there's so much of the game that they can't really do whenever Hercules is in the fight. Horus wants to dash in and engage with a stun. Hercules wants to pull people to him and engage with a dash of his own. I mean, we even brought up the Shock, unable to teleport to his axe if he's chained by this Ares. The only one with CC immunity outside of the ultimate is the Jablonke, and it's delayed immunity on the Rising Jaguar.
Now, we do see another pick over there. Sorry, you were just saying, though, the Ares, though, just so strong. Even with the way that Fallen Angels have been trying to play in these last few minutes is just catching people out who have been stepped up high. And that's all well and good, because, you know, that's what you need to do at the moment. You're down so much, you need to find these opportunities. But no matter what picks you get and fights you do take, eventually you're going to have to march up to this Ares. And look at what this Ares does! Just like you were saying, marches up to Jolt and takes them down.
Marches up to Jolt, eats half his health bar, Evil Eyes can do the rest, and I mean, Ares picks up the kill off of what remaining damage was there. Mystical Mail as well. On a support, really just shows how much this Ares feels that he can just waltz in and do whatever he wants.
Oh, I do wonder, when Fallen Angels will decide to try to group in a bit bigger numbers. Now, Alpha Awaken dashes into the ultimate danger, pops the Aegis just in case, but I'm pretty sure this guy will be going down in just a few moments. Great body blocking coming out from Bambi. Now that will be a pull coming out, forces the beads from Alpha Awaken. That Expo just lost everything they had in the pocket. Now Bois finds himself still alive, dashes away from the blink coming out from Waddle. Waddle with the Mystic Rush, and the overhead kick is enough to put Waddle on a rampage. And what is this? Fallen Angels decide they've got the numbers, they want to go in. They burn everything they got to get to Mr. Pojangle. There's a shell coming out from Bambi. The Ares lack of peel might stop paying off, but up to the sky goes Mr. Pojangle. Jolt gets caught, gets fired upon from the top, does fall down eventually. Now it's a 2-on-2 on this left-hand side. Evil Eyes taking the battle. It's just the front line from Fallen Angels, but here comes Waddle to tip the scales in favor of Kappa Corporation, if they even needed it. Bonehead on the scene as well. Now Candriel dashing away, trying to retreat, but will get nowhere. Kappa Corporation take down another 3 and make eyes at the Gold Fury.
That was a fight that I wouldn't have recommended if the Fallen Angels weren't at even half the deficit that they're currently at. But that current deficit, I would have... If Candriel really wanted to ult, as Boulder isn't going to be in time, will be a little bit too early. If Candriel really wanted to ult that, I would have suggested ulting out. As one of the things worth bringing up here is the support of Kappa Corporation has the highest damage in the game currently.
Fantastic.
Comfortably ahead of Kukulin by a sizable 1,800 damage. Again, this is what Ares brings to the table. Can't stress it enough.
And look, Fallen Angels drafted a little bit around this Ares, right? They were aware of this Ares pick when they selected both the Hercules and the Chant. Both gods that are at least somewhat susceptible to a cripple. But even then, I'm sure they did not expect just the amount of activity that Bambi has been putting out, the amount of damage that they've been able to find, and just consecutively hitting these chains, right? We touched on the fact that, you know, hitting abilities is a very important part, and the chains are not the easiest thing to hit. Oh, Jolt, dashes over a wall for some farm and finds nothing but danger, puts out a bit of damage, but does not get any more than that. This is the situation Fallen Angels find themselves in. Bois having to blink back to their red buff. So Ionicus having to retreat from their enemy soul laner back to their speed buff. All the while, mid lane being pushed down by Kappa Corporation. Alpha Awaken just trying to retreat from the enemy support and cannot do it. Now 2 people pulled with the ult. belt, but Bambi's still so tanky. The tier 2 tower goes down. Candriel will go down to follow them. Sarionicus with a huge ultimate and the backside, but I'm not sure it's gonna matter. The knock-up from Evil Eyes is enough. Boachan has nowhere to go but down. Bambi is putting another kill on the board for this Ares. It is too early for Kappa Corporation to think about the end, but instead they turn their eyes to this very timely Fire Giant.
Without a doubt, and I am sorry, Bambi, for bringing up your mother. Dear Lord, stop inflicting this much pain on people, brother. Jeez. Still comfortably leading the damage. Sharks might want to add is this Ares, as Bambi is just pulling his team along, and not a slash line you expect to see from the support. 5, 2, and 10, part of 15 out of 22 of your kills, and a major driving force in this game has been this Ares. But one of the things to bring up is the amount of damage he's had behind him. It's, granted, Ares, top of the damage charts. We've gone over that twice already, but look at the E-Shell and the ROM, both sitting like right there at around 15, or not 15, my bad, at about 10,000. Said around 15. Ares, the one around 15. But Pojangle and Evilize, to really bring up the point here, they've been doing what they need to do.
Bambi somehow managing to carry 2 runic bombs, and all of the balls on this man will finally be punished for it, and Alpha Awaken on the Expel getting that very important shutdown on the Ares. There's a split push going on from Bonehead, and this is where Fallen Angels might find their opportunity, actually. Now, Bonehead going to take a lot of damage and de-transform in just a couple of seconds. The tower relentlessly firing on this Kukullan, who surely will be going down in a moment. Now, that is a pair of kills that Kappa Corporation definitely did not need to give up. Now, the Fire Giant is available for Fallen Angels if they think they can take it. That's surely the way to go forward, but they're not seizing this opportunity just yet. They're on the lookout for anyone who might be stepping up into them, as Evil Eyes does, gets blinked on, loses the purification beads, and now that is the cue for Fallen Angels to attack this Fire Giant. Waddle is on the scene already. Fire Giant relatively low, blink out from the Raven means they surely won't be re-engaging anytime soon. Now, this Fire Giant is not going down quickly, but it is still going down. Bois takes the fight to Evil Eyes. Pojangle behind this Hercules, now in some danger. Fire Giant still being done. We saw this in game 1, but it's taking some time. Fire Giant low, and Kappa Corporation steal it, and Mr. Pojangle steals the life of Jolt as well. Now the fight continues on as Bois goes down. The unstoppable Raven just running through this fight. The Fallen Angels are only retreating because they've got nowhere else left to go. Ionicus shall fall. It's a deicide for Kappa Corp. It's a triple kill for Waddle. Waddle divine in the process as Kappa Corporation run it down the mid lane.
This should be where Kappa Corporation go ahead and end the game. I mean, 22 minutes in, you're this far ahead. You've got a deicide. Only one going to be up is Jolt. 2 different pyro bombs. I don't really see how Fallen Angels get back out of this one unless Jolt hits some crazy damage, gets a really good ultimate. But great play by Waddle there, going to keep Jolt in base. Jolt able to pick up a kill on Bambi thanks to the Titan. But I don't think it's going to be enough.
Oh my goodness, the Titan's so low, but what are they trying to do here? It's gonna be very, very close. It's just Bonehead left. Bonehead transformed. Bonehead goes down just at the last moment. My goodness, Fallen Angels somehow hold on. Now, it is only holding on, but they are up and they are alive. Fire Giant gone from Kappa Corporation. Fallen Angels have bought themselves some time, but they're still at a 10k gold deficit. They have to make something happen soon.
They have to make something happen soon for sure, but they have to be smart about it. You can't sit here and just go on everything. You have to understand, you lose this game, you lose the set, you go down 0-3 on the season, and that's a little bit harder to pull your way back from than the 0-2 hole. Now, Corporation Little bit of a throw there earlier with the Ares getting picked off, and then of course the Kukoa not too long after that allows the Fallen Angels to maybe get the item or two that they needed to really win that fight there. But it's not over yet. And one of the things I'd like to highlight here now that both supports have gotten their starters is this Ares, of course, grabs the Sentinel's Embrace, an Aura starter item for the Aura-loving god. But the Horus does something a little bit different, going for this War Banner rather than the Spartan flag. And one of the things that does is as long as this Horus is able to play in lane or at least play around minion deaths, it will give him and his allies additional speed in terms of both just moving around and actually, M1ing people. And that can be big, but they have to be able to get this stacked up, and that's going to be very, very difficult to do from your Phoenix line, especially with such a heavily damaged Titan as Waddle is on the other side split pushing a left-hand bird.
Yeah, Fallen Angels cannot afford to let even one wave just go in for free. So they have to take a fight somewhere. It looks like this right lane will be the fight, but Candriel goes down first. Jolt finds himself in the middle of everyone, firing off the damages. Alpha Awaken, but it's not enough. Bambi picking up another kill for their team. Alpha Awaken stays alive for a moment, but just a moment. Meanwhile, the Mystic rush in from Waddle is enough to take down this Titan. Kappa Corporation, they do it quick, they do it in two. You find themselves as their week 3 winners in this fixture.
Without a doubt, and just a dominant 2 games out of the Kappa Corporation. One of the things that really needs to change for the dual lane of Fallen Angels is they need to play a little bit back. You don't want to step so far up. And one of the biggest things I see in that regard, really more game 1 than game 2, that Ganesh steps 1 foot too far forward in game 1 and just is hammered time and time and time and time again with damage. And it's just from there, they were never able to get back into game 1. And it felt like from there, they lost game 2 as well.
Yeah, it felt like that, definitely.
It felt like they didn't give themselves a chance in game 2. And that's not to say that, Fallen Angels dual lanes, but it felt like game 1 really impacted the mental of Fallen Angels dual lane.
Yeah, it almost felt like they started that game with this sort of defeatist attitude, right? We actually saw, Candriel with the leveling choice went for the first ability on the Horus, obviously the big knockup, then went for the safe. I don't actually know the name of it, but the dash that heals, right? Where you dash to your teammates and you heal. But surely, in a matchup against an Ares, you need that stun to stop that searing flesh early on. It was just so defensively minded coming out from Fallen Angels there that they set themselves up for a bad start, and it just snowballed out of control from there. So definitely need to rethink things. One thing that I would like to rethink is Bonehead on this Cucullin robbed MCM Bambi of the top damage nearby the end of that game. It did actually happen before that throw at the Titan where they didn't quite get it. So even if the game had ended then, Bambi would not have been top damage. But when your support is throwing the weight around so much, it's just so hard for anyone to deal with, to be honest. But Mechanis, I do have to say, that is it for the game today. It has been a strong showing from Kappa Corporation. So whoever ends up taking them on, you have to be prepared because they, as it stands, are the kings of this division and certainly going to take some stopping. Do you have any closing thoughts on what we saw today?
First off, the 3 of Horus is called Protector's Surge.
Thank you for that.
Secondly, you said you're the CEO of Kappa Corp, right?
Yeah.
You might want to go let your boys know that they had a really good set today. And those really are my closing thoughts. There's not much else that can be said.
Yeah, that's right, team. You had a fantastic set. No raises, though. Don't get that for anyone. Anyway, that will be it from us on this cast today. But I do believe we are due to have another set from the QSL as soon as we can bring that one to you just a little bit later today. So while we are done for today, there's plenty more Kraken Smite League action on the way. So without further ado, we have been Judas Priestley and Mechanics. And of course, on the backside, we have had Raptor providing all the visuals. But make sure you come back later because we will have plenty more action. See you guys again soon.